Travis Reier and Charlie Potter of the BamaOnline.com staff on a Wednesday afternoon outside Coleman Coliseum. Charlie, the Alabama Crimson Tide back on the practice field after a day off, and just about time to head to Arizona, isn't it? And a team that, for the most part, looks like it's in pretty good shape from a health standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, today's a Monday practice. You go out in helmets and shorts. A lot practice workout. They won't practice that long because they'll have a media day press conference coming up in about an hour. So about 4:10, we'll see if that holds true. That's when they show up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there wasn't anybody that seemed to be limited outside of people that have been like Raheem Falcons. I mean, I think that's the only guy that I saw that was even somewhat limited, and that's been the case all season. You just got some bumps and bruises with guys like Reuben Foster still having a wrap on his wrist, but that's nothing new. So yeah, I mean, from a health standpoint, you got to be pretty happy if you're Alabama.
Uncharted waters for this program. First time in program history, 15 games in a season, and in this format. To go from what would typically be a season-ending game of some sort, whether it's a bowl game or in the old days, we'll call it now, the BCS Championship game, turn right around. You get a little bit of a break in between. But have you noticed or picked up on anything in terms of preparation or how they've gone about things in this week and trying to get ready?
I mean, it's pretty similar to the Cotton Bowl. I mean, I don't think they're trying to do too much. They do have a little bit more practice time than Clemson. That's been made a big deal, and I don't think it really is.
No.
But I mean, it's just kind of like the normal approach. I mean, the players are the same. We haven't gotten to talk to them as much as usual because they had the off day. But I mean, like I said, I just think it's business as usual. I can't really see any thing that changes from the regular season or even what we saw ahead of the Cotton Bowl.
Kind of a difference, though, in media coverage because, as you said, later in just a little bit, and this will be recorded before all that takes place, but a different type of on-campus media gathering than what we're used to, at least since the start of fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get both coordinators and, Nick Saban before them, and then a slew of players coming up to the podium. And, that's fine and everything, but I think Clemson yesterday, they had Dabo, all their assistants, all 11 starters on both sides of the ball for about an hour. So I think all-encompassing, we'll have each guy funneled through for an hour. It's, by all means, I'm happy for it. The access, it is what it is.
But out in Glendale, out in the Phoenix area, you'll have another media day.
That's whenever the real meat of our coverage and what we'll have posted on the site will happen. But today, it'll just be interesting to get, to hear from Kirby after that game, get his thoughts on where he's at and things like that, and Kiffin as well. I mean, you value every chance you get to talk to these guys, and it's very rare, and you're happy to see them go to the national championship to get to talk to them even more.
We won't do another one of these before Monday night's game, so a couple of quick keys on the game itself. Offensively for Alabama, where do you see the one or two critical aspects of that area of the game sort of playing out for the Crimson Tide?
I think it's a little bit opposite of what you had in the Michigan State game because Michigan State's secondary was its weakness, and I don't think that's it at all for Clemson. They have one of the country's best cornerbacks. They have some big, hard-hitting safeties. And I think they're going to, rely a lot on Derrick Henry early and often. I think, we saw what Calvin Ridley's targeted the first 3 plays of the game.
Right.
Derrick Henry went about 6 or 7 plays without a touch.
Right.
I don't think that'll be the case in the desert. But at the same time, I think Jake Coker has shown a lot of progression. He's developed more and more as the season goes along, and he's comfortable back there. He's comfortable with the receivers he has, and you can have a balanced attack against a very good Clemson defense. You're just going to have to keep him clean from a pass rush that's up there with the likes of Alabama's, and I think it's just a good matchup.
Yeah, I think for Alabama offensively, you have to kind of go into it expecting to give up some negative plays. That's what Clemson does defensively. They lead the nation in tackles for loss, top 5 in sacks. So, you're going to have some negative plays. Alabama's had a few more here in the last couple of games than they had over maybe the month of November. But it's going to happen, but I'm with you. I think the plan is to stick with Derrick Henry. Watched a lot of Clemson-Florida State tape here in the last few days. Dalvin Cook went for 194 on 21 carries. Now, you can say Clemson's probably improved, but I don't think they're the dominant physical team up front that some teams are. They're very athletic, and they're very quick, and they're playmakers. But you can catch them being overly aggressive and hit them for some big plays on plays that look simple enough when you're giving the ball to Derrick Henry. I think even with what Coker did against Michigan State, Clemson's going to throw that to the wind. They're still going to say, look, you're going to have to beat us, and it makes total sense. So you're right. Clemson's a different beast, so to speak, in the back end. You mentioned the corners. They're going to man up I don't think they're going to be afraid to man up against Calvin Ridley or Darius Stewart. So that's going to still play a big role too. I think for both teams, and we'll switch to the defense now, it's about reaching balance, especially for Clemson. I think Watson and Wayne Gallman, they have to give them something north of 100 yards total for Clemson to have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, Watson's definitely the caliber player that can take over a game. You know, his candidacy for the Heisman Trophy was very deserving. I think he'll be a very electric player for years to come. But yeah, I think if you're Clemson, you can't go into it expecting that you're going to run the football that well. You know, you say that you have a balanced attack, but other teams have too. You know, Leonard Fournette and LSU, the LSU was able to throw the ball really well. Leonard Fournette did nothing.
Right.
I would go venture to say Leonard Fournette's definitely a better running back than Gallman. But yeah, I think they're just going to have to put it in the hands of Watson to see what he can do. And you know, we'll see how Alabama plays against a dual threat quarterback. It's improved this season, but you know, there are times I think the most comparable guy that they've seen on the schedule has been Joshua Dobbs at Tennessee. And we saw Alabama have a little bit of trouble early on. They were able to adjust at halftime and make those adjustments. I mean, I guess that's being repetitive, but it's just going to be interesting to see how they step into that challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be a nickel and dime night for the Alabama defense. That means a guy like Reuben Foster is going to have to play big. Reggie Ragland, you know, as good as those guys have been, that's the guys that Clemson's going to look to test. And it'll be fascinating to watch it play out, and I'm with you. I think in terms of personnel, that combination of Watson and Gallman most closely resembles Hurd and Dobbs of Tennessee. Schematically, Clemson may be more like Auburn that we've seen in past years, but ultimately that's what it comes down to me for the Alabama defense. From their nickel package, can they slow down the run enough? Tennessee had as much success as just about anybody's had against Alabama, and they rushed for 132 yards, I think it was, in the game. So Alabama can keep Clemson somewhere around 100 yards. In that neighborhood, I think they've got a good chance because I think Watson is a solid passer, but I think if that's what you make him do down by down, he's a one-read and run guy. He's not going to scan the defense and beat you to the second, third guy. So if you can get him off his first guy, you have a really good chance, I think, against him.
And then he also hasn't faced a pass rush like Alabama's. I think that's going to be a real key in this game is to set the edge and to not allow him to get out and make plays on the perimeter with his feet. And I think Alabama's defense has shown that it's been able to do that. It has, like I said, I mean, it hasn't faced really that many running quarterbacks like that. You know, Dak Prescott, I think, had 14 rushing yards. Dobbs had, I think, 19 when you go to net yards. Because they were able to get him on the ground, and I think that's going to be a real key.
Special teams, Alabama has to feel really good about where it's at in just about every aspect, and we talked about this earlier in the week, but unless you want to really nitpick that performance in Arlington, the Adam Griffith kick out of bounds, Jones had a little bit of trouble with the one punt return. If they get that kind of play again, they're going to be even tougher to beat.
I mean, J.K. Scott was unbelievable in that game, just to be able to flip the field. And Clemson does have a good defense, as we mentioned. I think that's going to be really big for Alabama. You know, I saw him, he wasn't even out on the practice field. He was, like, lifting weights. He's doing his own thing, and I think they're just letting him do it the way he's played this season. And, yeah, I think that's going to be a big key. And just to see what Cyrus Jones can do. You know, he's kind of done this in bunches with those punt returns, so it's very
really
likely
a 5-game stretch.
It's like he knows what he can do now. It's like he's not afraid anymore, so he's been electric back there.
He's seeing the ball like a beach ball for a hitter in baseball right now on the returns. It just opened wide open for him. So a lot of good stuff. You're headed on out here in the next day or so?
Yeah, leaving out tomorrow. We're flying out from Atlanta, and then we have a layover in Denver, and we'll be in the desert. So looking forward to that.
Seems to be the toughest aspect of this trip for fans, getting out there. I mean, airline tickets are through the roof. Flights aren't as accessible as you would think. The ticket prices aren't really that bad compared to some previous Alabama championship games, but the travel is just kind of a nightmare, I'm sure, for Clemson fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, we bit the bullet and just going economy. You know, we're actually staying an extra day, getting there a day early, staying to the 13th because it's cheaper. I mean, you know, save BOL some money, and we'll do that.
Well, I'll see you out there, and we'll catch up in the desert. Should be a lot of fun. Alabama's 4th national championship game since, I guess, January 2010, technically. But amazing to think the run that this program is on and may continue to be on even after this one. So, Charlie, safe travels.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
For Charlie Potter, I'm Travis Reier, reminding you to keep it right here on BamaOnline.com for more coverage of the Alabama Crimson Tide.